Go back to when you were completely healthy. I have people tell me the timeline of what happened first and maybe there was a moment where all of a sudden everything changed. And if that was the case, the very thing you need to ask yourself is what changed in that moment. And if your answer is, I don't know, keep digging. There's something happened there. And your answer is there. It's hidden someplace.
Welcome to the In Pursuit Of podcast, brought to you by CBHN, the Christian Business Harvest Network. These episodes highlight and celebrate those who are passionately pursuing their God-given purposes, leaning into our faith to rise and challenge the boundaries of possibilities. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the In Pursuit Of podcast. Really excited to have Lauren with us today. She founded Nature Cure Family Health, and you can visit her. Her details are right on the screen right now. Please check out all the work that she does and the value that she represents to elevating the body of Christ back to the type of health that God intended. Thanks for joining us today, Lauren.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
One of the key reasons why having you on is because you don't touch symptoms. You don't want to know what's happening. You're going a little deeper. You're asking, okay, well, why are you experiencing health? Can you describe how you take people through that process of figuring out the whys, not the what they're experiencing?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, that's what I think we're all really looking for when we're going to a doctor. We want to know the reason why and we want to fix it. And the thing is that the body it doesn't break for no reason. There's always a reason why something happens. So if you can listen to the story, and I always start with the worldview that God made it the way it was supposed to work, right? So if we assume that the body is capable of healing itself, then as you listen to the story, typically you can figure out what broke when and what are the obstacles to cure. Figure out if they're still there. They might not be. It's possible that they might already be gone and now you're just cleaning up the damage. But if they're still present, you have to remove them. And then you give the body the building blocks that it needs to heal itself and you get out of the way.
Okay. You get out of the way. All right. So this is what I'm going to do, folks. You know, there's integrity here. This is not planned. Trust me, this is not planned what I'm about to do. I'm going to put her on the spot and do a live test right now. Okay.
All
So
right.
Dr.
Yeah.
Lauren, I'm in your office. I need help. I actually need a lot of help. But
Yeah.
let's start off with this. So months ago,
Okay.
my heart started just racing a little bit. Now my RPMs run faster than the average bear as it is anyways. I always got juice, but
Yep.
caffeine and me, yeah, right.
Mhm.
And all I need is like 3/4 of a small all day and I'm good. But
Uh-huh.
I just felt like I was getting a little jittery. And I kind of got this sense my body was kind of telling me that, hey, you got to cut out this caffeine. You know
Mhm.
how it is, the withdrawals, you know how it is, the sweats, the headaches. Oh my goodness. But I
Mhm.
went through that process,
Yeah.
right? I'm doing better. It's
Good. Yeah.
been
Great.
4 months. But now, Dr. Lauren, the
Mhm.
only thing that changed in the last 4 months, the only thing that changed
Mhm.
is with taking away coffee.
Mhm.
I put on 13 to 15 pounds.
Okay. Yeah.
What the heck is going on?
Caffeine forces the core of your adrenals to pump out adrenaline so that you are able to, and that spikes your metabolism, right? So you can't have unopposed adrenaline. So as soon as that adrenaline calms back down, you have to produce cortisol in order to take it back down to baseline. So if you don't have that, if you were previously running on adrenaline, it probably means that your body has found a new metabolic set point. So I would probably say check your adrenals, check your cortisol function. One of the jobs of cortisol is to mobilize glucose from your liver in between meals. So your blood sugar could be a little higher possibly than it was before. Or you could need a little bit of extra boost. Like maybe there's a lower level of adrenaline running through you. Maybe your energy is a little lower. And the precursors to adrenaline are tyrosine, which is an amino acid. Possibly you might need to check that and see if you need to support your pathways for your catecholamines, which is dopamine, and then norepinephrine and epinephrine, which are otherwise known as adrenaline. So that's the direction I would go.
Right. And after we all pull out our dictionaries and break down what she just said, folks, I'm telling you, that was unrehearsed and she just nailed it. Listen, it's one thing to speak to somebody who sounds like they know what they're talking about, and another thing to reach out to professionals like Lauren who actually know what they're talking about. You gave me a lot of food for thought. When we finish this episode, we're gonna have a one-on-one session or
I
something because I
figured,
need,
yeah.
like I said, I need a lot of help. Now, what you were doing there, you were going beyond diagnosing.
Hmm.
You went to, okay, remedy.
Yeah.
When you live on a remedy level, and a lot of things that you speak about is getting back to a holistic gut prescription. What do you
Hmm.
mean by that?
So you're referring to my book. So this is my book, The Holistic Gut Prescription. And so quite frankly, this book is tailoring to the gut my overall philosophy that can really apply to anything. It doesn't have to just be the gut. And the idea is
Okay.
naturopathic medicine can get boiled down to identify and remove the root cause, whatever it might be, the obstacle to cure. Give your body the building blocks that it needs to heal itself. And for people that are pretty vital already, like their vital force is strong, they're young, they don't have a lot of extra junk going on. A lot of
Okay.
times that's all you have to do, and you just get out of the way. Sometimes for the hypersensitive people, the canaries in the coal mine, if you will, you have to also give their body a little bit of an energetic boost so that it can manage itself. Maybe sometimes you need a little bit of immune modulation going on, something like that. But in general, God made the body to heal itself. It's smart. So you have to listen to the symptoms as the most intelligent way that your body can react to the circumstances that have been thrown at it. And so instead of suppressing them, you listen to them, you work with them, and then you kind of with that and also with the patient's story, you can kind of get to the root issue. So holistic gut is the way that you would approach that with respect to your gut specifically, but it doesn't have to be the gut.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're in conversation with Dr. Lauren. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, I want to dive deeper into what you're saying. It's almost like you're saying, hey, let's take a step back and understand your rhythm. Let's understand your own body because it's telling you a story. And if you can tap into, begin to read that code, you'll have the
Mhm.
cheat code for your health going forward. We'll be right
That's
back.
right.
My name is Sadir.
Hey, it's Tracy Mighty.
Hi, my name is Albert Brandstetter. I am an investment advisor with National Bank Financial. I've been an advisor for over 35 years.
And the CBHN community has allowed me to connect with like-minded professionals that have helped reshape my career goals with the added benefit of strengthening my faith journey.
CBHN has shown me that my work is my calling. And each week I learn more about how to grow my business with Christ at its center.
And CBHN has helped me uncover and rediscover the passion for entrepreneurship.
And I have to tell you, what I have learned and gleaned from the others who are part of CBHN has brought me to new heights, not just in my career, but personal life as well.
Maybe you've been praying, believing, and being the absolute best version of you, but you still don't see anything changing.
So now I feel like I'm living my purpose the way God has called me to live my life.
Most of us think of waiting as a negative. We don't like it at all, and we're tempted and stressed out. Come to CBHN every Thursday at 7 p.m., and you will see the amazing promises of God that He has for your life come to pass.
I just love this group of people. We come together to talk on Thursday nights and we challenge each other. We grow together, we merge our work life and our faith life, and we're learning how to do business together.
I think you should take a look.
And welcome back. Today, of course, we're in conversation with Dr. Lauren. She already ripped apart all my adrenals, my cortisol levels. She's talking about unopposed adrenaline. Like she was going so fast about my amino acids. Like I had to write all this stuff down. But she's hitting on some things that I've been speaking to medical professionals periodically, and she nailed it all because she knows what she's speaking about.
Mhm.
How do you help then other people understand so they also can know what they're speaking about when it comes to their own bodies. How do I get my own pulse, right? Like, how do I learn to listen to what my body is saying to me?
So I have quizzes that are in the beginning of the book that will help people to break down. There's chapters. It's kind of a chart your own course book, where you'll be able to take the quiz at the beginning and say, what are my obstacles to cure? Probably. And I mean, I can only do it so well. It's helpful to actually talk to somebody, but a lot of times you can narrow down how likely is it that this is my obstacle to cure, and then go read that chapter. How likely is it that these are the building blocks that I'm missing? Go read those chapters. But there's only
Okay.
so many possibilities. And I will say this, though, the world is getting increasingly toxic. So I am discovering new possibilities all the time. So there's new types of toxins that we kind of have to be aware of as time
Okay,
goes on.
so sorry,
Yes.
you're not saying, let's chase down the new remedy. You're saying there's new problems being
Mhm.
introduced to the ecosystem of our physical presence,
Right.
and there's new threats.
There's new threats, and once you identify what the physiology, how your body responds to that, then you can go back to the physiology you already know and say, here's how we can approach it. So, for example, one of the things that I've been learning a lot about lately is EMF, electromagnetic field sensitivity.
Okay.
And so what we know about that is that it tends to disrupt, especially the calcium channels in the body, so that you have calcium channels that are constantly open and they're firing constantly. And the cell at the other end ends up dying as a result. And you get oxidative stress and all kinds of stuff. So,
Okay. So
uh,
you're doing something here though, right?
yeah.
Like, you're smart and you know what you're talking about. You've done a Timothy, you studied to show yourself approved. And I love that because that doesn't only apply to our theology, it applies to any arena. There's a reason why people take the time to get the degrees, because the word of God says you need to study to show yourself approved, even in your own field of work. And
Mhm.
clearly, I'm trying to break down. Now you're on calcium channels, right? And I'm like, wait, the only channel I know how to get to is
Going
on my
here.
remote, right? And it's like, how do you help me though, just the average person,
Mhm.
take all of the years and of wisdom and knowledge and application that you've been able to experience,
Mhm.
and get me to just on a rudimental,
Mhm.
fundamental level, understand a few things?
Right. And so, okay, so back to the idea of the quiz. The concept is look at your own story. Go back to when you were completely healthy. And then I have people tell me the timeline of what happened first and maybe there was a moment where all of a sudden everything changed. And if that was the case, the very thing you need to ask yourself is what changed in that moment. And if your answer is, I don't know, keep digging. There's something happened there.
Mm,
So, and
okay.
your answer is there, it's hidden someplace. So, because I've done this for such a long time, now I know how to ask to say, like, did you move into a new house? Did you have a leak in your house? Did you get bitten by a tick? Did you have a major stressor? Did you have a surgery? Did you have a baby? Did you have a divorce? Did you have, like, did somebody die in your family? There's all of
Okay.
these possibilities of why things might have broken right there. And now we can begin to dial. And so once I know that, then I can figure out what probably happened in that moment. And now I can say, of all of these functional medicine tests out there, which can add up to thousands of dollars if you want to do birdshot and do them all, now we've narrowed it down to one or maybe two. And we can do those tests. And every now and then I have somebody come into me who can't afford those. And a lot of times, if it's obvious enough, I can just guess and say, I'm pretty sure this is your issue. So let's just treat it, kind of a thing. And then see if you get better. And if you don't, then we'll dig a little bit further and go from there. So that's, I think, the biggest question is what happened that ended up shifting the case. And it might not be only one thing. There might have been a tipping point. Maybe you were stressed and you were stressed and you could handle it and you could handle it. And then there was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Wow.
That also is useful to look at too.
Wow.
That's how you look at it.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we're hearing is your responsibility in your health equation. It's
Mhm.
not only about showing up at a professional's doorstep and saying, help me. It's saying, hey, are you willing to put in the work to dig, Because sometimes it's easier for someone else to tell us what's happening, right or wrong, than it is for us to take the time to sit back and really think through and pray through how we arrived in the state that we're currently experiencing outside of God's will for great health for our lives. When we come back from the short break, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, Dr. Lauren, I want to get into your ear a little bit. How did you hear from God and now step into kingdom work, delivering better health for all of his children on the planet? When we come back, I'd love to get into that a little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, well done. A Passionate Pursuit of Purpose is now available. This book was written so you don't have to leave your eternity to chance. It's for someone who is a little restless and simply looking for their next move, but doesn't know where to begin. If you feel like there is still more in your core to explore, and you want to experience the fullness of what was deposited within your DNA, then well done. A Passionate Pursuit of Purpose could be the very tool you need to send you in the direction of your destiny. Available now on Amazon and welldonebook.info. That's welldonebook.info.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Of course, we're in conversation with Dr. Lauren. We've been talking about so many things. Just to do a quick recap, understanding yourself, but it's your responsibility to do the work. Of course, we have Sherpas and guides, Dr. Laurens of the world. But this book, if you don't mind just sharing with our guests, folks, the link is on your screen right now. That's how you can go and get that book. It's your opportunity to figure out a few things about your own life, more importantly, your own lifestyle that may have been holding you back from experience the fullness of what God has for you on the planet. Now, Dr. Lauren, a number of years ago, obviously you said, hey, I think I'm going to invest all these years, energy, time, financial resources to be able to do what you do today. Why? What was it that this little girl, Lauren, said, hey, when I grow up, or was it a moment where it's like, I'm 18, maybe I'm 22? Like, at what point did you think this is something that is so meaningful that I got to do this?
Yeah. Well, let's see if I can boil this down. So when I was 15, my father died of cancer. And at that point, I thought I wanted to find the cure for cancer. So I became a biochemist or biochemistry major in my undergrad. And then I discovered that I hate research. I hate it. So that really was not going to be for me. And then I thought, well, I want to be a doctor. And all of my best friends in high school were missionary kids. So I thought I'm going to be a missionary doctor to Mexico because that's where they were all from. So I moved down there because I didn't speak Spanish and I needed to learn and I needed to get medical volunteer experience. And what I found was that every patient, they gave them hardcore antibiotics without examining them, every patient. And I thought something is wrong here. Like, I don't know Spanish and I don't know medicine, but I'm pretty sure that's not okay. So then I started investigating. I went back and I started looking for naturopathic medicine, not realizing that's what I was looking for. I'd never heard of it before, but I was in and out of 8 or 9 different grad school programs, essentially looking for this. And I finally, the day I walked in the school doors, when I found out about it, I walked in and I knew this is what I'm supposed to do. And I didn't want to because it was not a paved path. Like in traditional medicine, you have insurance that sends you patients and you don't have to have your own business. And I didn't want to have my own business. I desperately didn't want to have my own business. But that is ultimately where I ended up. And I'm so grateful now that God just kept course correcting me until I got where he intended for me to be, in spite of myself, honestly.
You know, there's a scripture that says it's appointed to every person a time to be born and a time to die. It's not like you can add a single hour or take away any number of days from the time that God says, hey, your expiration date and you're going home. But what we do have control over is our health style patterns to be able to enjoy the days that we do have on the planet more. So I love the work that you're doing because it's almost like, hey, we have people to help you with your soul. You have people to do, a checkup from the head up, right? So you got this all going on. But there's this binding force that our body allows us to experience both more fully, simply because we actually have the energy to pray longer, to serve longer. We'll have the energy to have our minds a little bit more brighter so we can face stressors.
Right. Yeah.
Can you tell us about some of the folks that you've been able to help out? Not asking for names, of course, but like some of the stories that you actually, hey, I helped this person, and here are some of the things that have happened.
So let me think. Just this week, I had this couple that both of them had come to me for gut distress. One of the wife had ulcerative colitis, and the husband had several different, just a variety of different gut issues, and over like for decades. And they are now doing so well that they opened a bakery, and they can actually taste test all the various different things. And they were doing these super restrictive diets for such a long time. So I was so excited about that, that they were able to get to the point where they could do that. So that was definitely a great one just from this week.
Now, folks, what about you? Do you want to insert your name here? Right? Like, is it time for you to do something about what you've been putting off? Been wondering, oh, there's no hope. Well, there actually is. And sometimes God sends it in the form of, a pastor. Sometimes he sends it in the form of a friend. Sometimes he sends it in the form of Dr. Lauren. And if you need to take advantage of the gifts of God that are available for you and to you, make the investment, make the time investment, and give her a call and see what she can do. Listen, I can't get enough of what you're sharing. So as we said before we started, I'm going to have you back on with a couple of our friends, Chelsea Blackbird and Dr. Chris Sargent. And the four of us are going to hang out, and we're going to see what else we can do to uplift our community through better health. Dr. Lauren, thank you for joining us, and you know you'll be back very soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the In Pursuit Of podcast. Definitely follow us on our socials and consider this your personal invitation to join our Thursday night CBHN Zoom calls at 7 p.m. EST as we challenge each other to pursue the fullness of what God has for our lives. And remember, Matthew 7:7 says, "Seek and you'll find." We pray you too will walk in the fullness of your purposes.